of Women and Gender Equality.
Thank you, Chair. And it's always an honour, of course, to stand in this honourable House and speak on behalf of our constituents, but I can't help myself. I have to take up where the final member left off, talking about choices. Number one, we all have a choice in this House Assembly, and we should take it very serious that when a vote happens, especially on a historic MOU, what we just saw in January, people have to decide to be here. So make that choice. And about a rainy day fund, I will take our memory back just a little bit. When we were flush with cash, quote unquote, by the previous administration, their words, so much money, the highest we've made. There was no rainy day fund. There was no drizzle and fog fund for that matter either. But if money was saved and spent, we would have not found ourselves in a dire situation when the current administration took power in 2016. So just want to put that there on the record about choices and rainy day funds. People want to see money spent on infrastructure, obviously debt servicing, and of course our future. Because you know what, Chair, I believe this province has a very bright future. Hear, hear. And a lot of it's based on the good leadership of this government and this Premier. But on that note, I want to talk about also something very important, and that's where we're coming up on the 100th anniversary where women gained the right to vote in this province. And not all women. Women in Newfoundland, white women in the island of Newfoundland, but no one from Labrador gained the vote until later than that. So, but that said, and you know what, it didn't come easy. This campaign was led by a lady called Armine Gosling, resident of St. John's, who were actually going to be erecting a fine statue of this woman, and it's only our third statue of a woman, who've led these great initiatives in our province. But that's what she did. It was decades old, the fight. But it took anyway, it was 100 years ago. We're going to be celebrating. I always say, Chair, we've made some significant strides on initiatives and gender equity and equality are all around, but you know, there's always work to do. And on that note, I want to talk about some things that are important. And as we know, we're in a political time like none other, which we see our neighbours to the south, our most important allies in the world, ultimately, and we're seeing some serious regression happening in the country, of course, the United States. And as we all know, we have 3 elections this year. 3 elections, a federal election, a provincial election, and we know there are municipal elections happening. So, and I want to, put voters, when they go to cast their ballots, think about what you're voting for and who you're voting for and why. But for example, some good things that we've done in my department to advance gender equality. In December of 2023, the Office of Women and Gender Equality announced $890,000 to support Quadrangle Newfoundland and Labrador. And this came under the 4-year National Action Plan to End Gender-Based Violence. And this funding supports the vital education and awareness initiatives tailored to the 2S LGBTQIA+ community, helping to prevent violence and to promote inclusivity. So, even the Office of Women and Gender Equality itself, the mandate has been expanded. And I want to, also talk about something important, the topic of abortion. Abortion is legal in Newfoundland and Labrador and Canada, and is publicly funded as a medical procedure under the combined effects of the Federal Canada Act, Revised Statutes of Canada 1985, C6, and provincial health care systems. Advocates had been calling for increased access to abortion services. The Athena Health Centre, located in St. John's, here in our great province, performs 95% of abortions carried out in the province. The Athena Health Centre also operates monthly satellite abortion clinics in different areas of the province. And the abortion procedure is a 1-day process, and individuals do not need a physician's referral. At the Health Sciences Centre, the abortion procedure is a 2-day outpatient procedure. To make an appointment at the Health Sciences Centre, individuals must get a pregnancy confirmation and the physician's referral. In June 2022, the United States Supreme Court overturned a landmark Roe v. Wade decision of 1973, in which the court ruled that the Constitution of the United States generally protected a right to have an abortion. Many states have since implemented abortion bans. Legal chaos is occurring in that country as injunctions against individual state laws are being lifted and pre-Roe bans are being interpreted. In a few states, new jurisdictions are being issued before laws that can go into effect. We commend organizations that support women and gender diverse people to have access to health care services they need, because we certainly believe on this side of the House that that's a human right. Eliminating abortion services will not stop abortions. It will just stop safe abortion procedures. And abortion rights, fertility, and reproductive health are fundamental rights for women and gender diverse people across Canada. So it's very concerning. We know what we're seeing in the States. And of course, here in this honourable House, everybody has a vested interest in politics and what's happening at every level, I would venture to say. And the thought or the threat that the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada is even considering opening up the debate on legal abortion in this country is just beyond. Shameful. It is beyond and shameful. I also have to bring in the question of $10 a day daycare. Where does that leader stand on that? And why I'm talking about, we all often talk about the different levels of government here in this House as it pertains to our own policies, our own quality of life and cost of living here in this province. And the reason I say that, because I have to know where our honourable colleagues on the other side of the House stand on these matters. How can you stand in support of a leader who doesn't support women or gender diverse people? Or even contemplate, to question the idea if it's something that should be debated? Just think about that. It's a human right, and it's something that we stand for. We've worked so hard to gain the rights, whether it's the right to vote, whether it's the right to hold public office. Women weren't even allowed to hold public office at that time. And there were so many stipulations. We know it was Richard Squires at the time who tried to block women from getting in that legislature. But we know there's a lot of place, and there needs to be place at the table for women and gender diverse people. Because we know society wants to see a government that reflects its own society. And the best decisions can be made when everybody is included. And I'll say that because I know we believe that. There's a lot of people in here who, of course, stand with that. But these are very important matters. And I also want to commend, actually, the leader of the third party. I heard him in an interview just last night and this morning. And he talked about, actually, the federal leadership that we just saw. Mark Carney, a former president of the Bank of Canada, as well as in the UK, and now will become officially the Prime Minister of this country. And I'm grateful to hear the leader of the third party say that Canadians now have another option, because a lot of people were parking their vote with Pierre Poilievre because they did not want the current leader to continue. Exactly, and I mean, people I talked to in my district, nobody wanted to vote there, but they wanted an alternative. And I'm very happy to say, Chair, there is an alternative. There is a very credible alternative, someone with experience. And what we're going into now, facing the trade wars like none before, unprecedented, we need somebody, a steady hand at the wheel to make these decisions on behalf of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. We know what exactly. My colleague here said we don't need slogans, fancy slogans. We need solutions. We need action. And we need evidence of good work that's been done in the past. And I will also I took the initiative to do some research. And I looked back, actually, and it was actually taken from Hansard in the House of Commons, where Pierre Poilievre talks about same-sex marriage. Same-sex marriage, and what he said, there's a lot of chirping going on here, Speaker, and I can't hear, so I'd like my time. I got a minute and 22 seconds left on the clock. I'd like that dignity, please. Thank you. Here. Pierre Poilievre is quoted in the House of Commons saying, a marriage should be between one man and one woman. That was what he said in the House of Commons. So imagine that person leading a country like Canada. Like Canada. Please. The member's chirping over there. She's more than welcome to stand up, Speaker. I'm going to sit down until she stops.
Order, please.
Anyway, Speaker, we've got some...
Mountains, please. Order, please.
I'm offended.
Order, please.
I'm queer. I can get married to a woman if I want to, or to a man. Speaker, and
order, please. You can have your turn.
With the federal Conservatives is really...
I ask the member for Torngat Mountains, please. The Minister for Women and Gender Equality.
Okay. Thank you, Speaker, for your protection. I think the member over there is upset because I think she maybe misheard what I was saying. I didn't mention anybody on that, name any member of this honourable House. I talked about a leader who could potentially become Prime Minister who do not support same-sex rights or the 2S LGBTQIA+ community, and he's on record to say it, which has nothing to do with that member. So I'm just going to continue saying what I want to say. How important it is that, you know, we've worked so hard for women, for gender diverse, for people with disabilities, because everybody has the right to work and to play and to live and to grow in a healthy environment where they can thrive and not worry about fear for violence or ridicule or isolation. I'll have more to say again, Chair, but I thank you for your time.